Hi, so in this video I'll be going over the economic objectives of a producer, and more specifically what we assume are the economic objectives of a producer as economists when we're doing, let's say, maximization problems, and so we want to make some simplifying assumptions. So in the previous video I discussed what we mean by utility maximization, and in terms of this, what we then assume that a rational individual or a rational firm does and what decisions they make. And to do this, we have to make some assumption about what gives an individual utility. So for producers in economics, we tend to assume that producers only care about their profit. And this in turn, a rational producer or a rational firm is going to just want to maximize its profit and be a profit maximizer. So it doesn't get any utility out of any other activity. The only thing that we assume a producer cares about is its profit. And what do we mean by profit? Well, it's just total revenue minus total cost. That is just a basic formula from business management. And there are a number of reasons why we can assume that firms just want to maximize profit. So we know that profits are required for a firm to continue operating, at least in the long run. If a business is making losses over the long term, then it's not going to be able to continue to operate. It can't pay its bills, it can't pay its employees or whatever, so it's going to have to shut down its operation. So profits are necessary to some extent for a business in order to be a viable business. But beyond that, we do care. Even though we have positive profits, businesses are going to tend to want to increase their profits wherever they can, because profits can be used to pay the owner of the firm. So a CEO can pay itself money, or pay himself or herself money. The extra earnings or the extra profit can be reinvested in increasing capital or trying to expand the business in whatever sense. And we can pay shareholders dividends, which is similar to paying the owners of the firm, and so on. There are loads of things that we can do with profit. The point is that more profit is going to pretty much always be better for a firm. So we do have a reason why a firm owner is going to want to keep increasing their profits. But there is a big but with this, in that, is this realistic? Well, when we're assuming that firms only maximize profit, they are profit maximizers. This doesn't tend to be the case that we notice in reality, because firms do have a number of objectives. Of course, we say more profit is better than less profit, of course, but this is not the only thing that the owners of a firm are going to target. They don't tend to purely operate with a profit maximization idea. So a business, for example, when it's starting up, will be looking to increase its market share. They may want to reward their shareholders with increased dividends. They might have lots of objectives regarding their local community, or ethical objectives where they want to help improve the local area, donate to charities. They may have objectives that they're really averse to risk and they want to diversify their assets. Maybe they want to expand into different businesses. And maybe a CEO wants to get a sort of status symbol out of having a high market share, operating in lots of countries, by improving its local community and donating to charities. And all of these things, we might argue they tie back into profits, and that increasing your market share is because in the end they want to increase their profits, and diversification and ethical objectives might improve the brand and they could offer as profits. But at the end of the day, these are not just basic profit maximization factors. When we think of profit maximization as an objective for a firm, what we tend to be thinking is that at every moment in time they're choosing their marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and at every moment in time they're thinking, okay, I need to maximize my profit right now, and I need to maximize my profit in the future as well. Whereas these sorts of policies that a firm might undertake, they might reduce profit now in order to increase market share, and that expands their profit in the future. and it's not 100% clear if all of these objectives are maximising profits. The point is that there is a lot more than profit that's going on with businesses. They don't only care about this one objective. But if this is the case then, and we say it's not really realistic, then why do we assume this about firms? And the simple answer is that it really does simplify things as an economist looking in on the action, that we can just assume that a firm is going to choose marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. And if a firm only cares about maximising profit, well, it's going to be a lot more easy, or a lot easier, in order to predict the behaviour of a firm. And once we do that, we can then solve our economic problems a lot more simply. So we do this for simplicity, but also we say it's not completely realistic, but it is a fairly good general view of the world. As economists, we tend to want to assume that people are selfish. We don't really care too much about these ethical objectives and increasing our local community's welfare per se. We tend to want to assume that people are selfish and just maximise their own utility, and producers, their main source of utility is going to be their profit. They can, as we said, there are lots of things you can do with profit, and even if we maximise our profits, we could then reinvest that into our local community for ethical objectives and so on. So it is a decent approximation as simplifications go, because firms do want to maximise their profits. They just may also have these other side aims, but we can usually expect that the average firm is going to want to maximise their profitability, at least in the short or long term. So that's why we make this assumption. Is it realistic? Maybe not exactly, but how difficult is it to solve our economic problems if we start thinking about all these other intentions of a firm? Well, it's very difficult to solve an economic problem with this. So at the basic level, we're going to make a profit maximization assumption. So that will just about wrap up this video. Make sure to leave a like if it was at all useful. In the next video, I'll be looking at the economic objectives of the average consumer, so check out the playlist for that, and subscribe for lots of future economic videos.